Week 8 in the books. Let's get into talking about some football. Let's start though with the trades this week for this league, and now we're done with that because again, no trades unfortunately. It's a quiet league. It's quiet out there. Everyone likes their team a lot, so we'll see who is justified in doing so and who's not. Let's start with the two teams I've done chained. The Banditos versus El Capitan, or El Captain, I would do that. Both teams playing like teams that should be done chained, honestly. In this league, 120 should not get a win, but both teams got 120 point something, and that means that one of them has to win. Would lose to every team except for the dud matchup we'll talk about later, the two teams that played in that Chairman Paco Libre matchup. So between these two teams, the team that did come out with the win was the Banditos by just a little bit. The story for them Banditos is, again, nothing impressed me. Neither of these teams, despite them both not being 4-4, do I have any hesitation with the done chain. I'm still very confident, unfortunately. But for the Banditos, the lucky ones keep piling up. Just another one here. The good news here is Fournette might be carving out a role for himself. So I will say this team is in a little bit better position than it was last week, in that if Fournette could come through as a reliable running back that could give you double-digit points, it obviously is an upgrade for a team that is starving for running backs. You played my guy P. Ryan in the flex. I'm a Jets fan, but he is not going to be a fantasy relevant guy. He's better than Gore, but no Jets running back is the guy. And only 2 targets in a game we were losing by that many points is not good news if you want to rely on him for PPR points. So yeah, I mean, but until you get Miles Sanders back, it looks like you're going to continue to be starving for RB help, and hopefully Fournette's the solution. If he is, maybe that's enough to make you in the conversation for playoffs. But we'll see. I still think Ronald Jones is not going to get benched like he was after his fumble last game. And Fournette's going to be more of an average 8 points per game. But that's not enough to start at running back in a fantasy league. So Bandito's still in trouble, but really in trouble is still El Captain with the loss now. Going to 4-4. This wide receiver situation is just horrific. Juju, if you have to start him, you could start him. He's decent. But that's your best guy. Then you go Cole Beasley, whose floor I thought was a little bit higher than just 2 targets, 2 catches, 24 yards, but apparently he could perform that poorly, and his ceiling's not high at all. And then Judy, who's talented, 10 targets, but only 4 receptions of those 10 targets, and also not a great option. So fortunately for you, you have Kelsey, who's the only valuable tight end now. That Kittle's hurt for the year, but this team is thin as thin gets, not getting any help back until outside of McCaffrey coming back next week. So you're going to be in a position where you have good running backs, but not getting any help back at wide receiver. This team is not also going to have the firepower enough. So credit to these two teams. They stayed afloat. El Captain in time for McCaffrey, and the Banditos just through some lucky wins, but getting some value now out of guys you don't expect. So I know I've been harsh on these two teams. I want to give the owners respect for making their teams where they are now. But I will say I have no regret on the done chain. I am positive neither of these teams will win the league, and I am pretty confident neither will make the playoffs. Assuming that only 4 teams make the playoffs. I need to check up on that. I keep forgetting to check up on that. Okay, next matchup. Team Straight Knockout versus We Went With Jared. We Went With Jared getting the win to finally go to 2-6. Team Straight Knockout was more in the playoff conversation. Really tough loss to go to 3-5. Just when things were looking up for Straight Knockout, took a few hits here. So we got some value out of McKinnon, so that's great. But took a few hits here, being Kittle out for the year. Jamal Williams on the COVID list was going to probably get one more start instead of Aaron Jones, but now you lose that. He's probably not going to give you value for the rest of the season. Lindsey, value is a little bit higher, so that's good news for you, although he's still in a 50-50 situation, not great. Brandon Cooks, you have to pray Fuller gets traded. If so, if Cooks becomes a reliable option. And then Hooper's coming back. So there's some looking up, but it's not a high enough ceiling. Fortunately for you, you have who might be the best receiver in fantasy, Devontae Adams here, and you'll get better positions out of Thielen, and Higgins is actually doing decent. But really, when we talk about that RB situation and that tight end situation, you're losing the help that you started to get. So this team was probably a contender for sure. I actually think before this week, without these injuries, I would say this is above average team in this league. But with that loss, unfortunately, Team Straight Knockout's going to need to pull something out of their hat to make a comeback. Certainly not done chain territory. I mean, this is a team that still could compete for a playoff spot, but is going to probably need to make a move or just make the perfect start-sit decisions. Team Straight Knockout definitely outside looking in. For team, we went with Jared. It was a 1-6 team. We were saying that this team was too good to be 1-6, and this team fortunately is no longer 1-6, now 2-6. This team looks more to me when I look at it like a 500 team, especially with Russell Wilson being a fantastic option at quarterback. A little bit thin really across the board, getting underperformances from Darren Waller, especially at tight end, but good defensive selection. And on the bench, you have Jarvis, who could be better with Odell. We'll have to wait and see a little bit longer. And you get Chubb coming back in a couple weeks. If this team could, I still need to find out. This is all based off 4 teams making the playoffs. If this team could win the next 2 games, get Chubb back, I could see it being a team that could make a run for the playoffs. Although it is so far outside looking in, it's definitely a long shot. But I don't want to dun chain this team. I think this team's better than both the 4-4 teams we were just talking about. Realistically, are you going to make playoffs? Probably not. But not season over yet. Let's see what happens here. I also think Zeke's underperforming. I think there's potential to at least have a little bit of a pulse. So with that, congrats on the win. Well earned. And you go to 2-6. Now the matchup that doesn't even deserve a recap is Paco Libre versus the chairman. Paco Libre getting the win with only 87 points. Ouch. To go to 2-6 against the chairman going to 5-3. For Paco Libre, well, for both these teams, a lot of the story was buys and injuries. So Paco Libre was out. David Johnson, Chase Edmonds, who's going to be good without Drake, DeAndre Hopkins, Michael Thomas, Deebo Samuel, Kenyon Drake. So youch. That bench is better than most teams in the league if they were all healthy. So I'm happy Paco Libre won because it was a team that deserved more. Really bad luck. Like, what was he doing for all this bad luck? He should have been better than 1-6. So now you're 2-6, and on the week you didn't deserve it. It's kind of ironic. This is the same. Everything I just said for Team We Went With Jared applies here. If you could stay afloat in time for these guys to come back, your team's a lot better. But right now, I mean, Jonathan Taylor's now a running back by committee. The wide receivers you started, I don't even want to look at. It gives me a headache. You just need every single guy on your bench back, and at 2-6, it's such a long shot. But you got the win to have, again, small posts just like we went with Jared, and you have the bench, the guys who are coming back that could back up a playoff run. So we'll see. I could see one of these 2-6 teams, at least causing some stir, at least not going down without a fight. Team the Chainsmokers, awful week to go to 5-3. The story for this team: James Robinson on bye, Devontae Parker, DJ Chark on bye, but iffy. McLaurin on bye, he's a starter. So they're not even close to what we were dealing with Paco Libre, but that really is the main story. You got a Galladay injury, Justin Jefferson underperforming, Clyde Edwards-Helaire showing again, like as we've been talking about the last few weeks, this is not a great situation for him. And then Deontay Johnson, I don't think is startable, but you had to based on your injuries. And you went with Goddard also, first week out of injury is very risky. So 5-3, not a super strong team. Honestly, I like Paco Libre's team, at least if healthy, a lot better. But at 5-3, you're obviously in more of a driver's seat to make a playoff run. I'd say this team also probably needs to make some moves to be a little bit more intimidating. With that being said, I'd say coin flip. This team is able to squeeze in if there's 4 teams in. And for the chairman, you have to start thinking about that, especially with the Galladay injury probably going on IR. You have to start thinking about any potential moves you can make, because at 5-2 it was easier to say, you know what, let's wait until everyone is off buys and but at this point it's probably time to start to make a move. And I say that every week, but for all teams. But this team, I certainly feel like at 5-3 you could afford to make some moves and build yourself up for a deeper playoff run than the roster you currently have is set for. Now the teams that deserve to be talked about: Pain Train winning 179 over Professor S to go to 151. Both teams were Team Pain Train is now 5-3. Professor S is 6-2. Pain Train, 179 points, so really, really good week. We were talking last week about how the RB group was unrecognizable, but it's going to start looking better. Dalvin comes back, 54.6 points. That's exactly what you want. I mean, that's unbelievable. And then you're going to be getting Aaron Jones back, not this week, but the week after. So hopefully Mike Davis, with McCaffrey back, is actually a tough call. So we'll see who you lean on this week. Maybe even Gallman, assuming Devontae Freeman's going to miss another week. But Pain Train, you got to be happy with how you're doing. I mean, the wide receiver situation also was looking up, with Fulgham being a fantastic pickup of the season, another great week. And Mike Evans, without Godwin, I think I say this a lot, but without Godwin, Mike Evans is a much better option. Unfortunately for you, you do have Godwin coming back either this week or next week, and Antonio Brown coming back. I say this is another good week to start Mike Evans, because I think Godwin might end up missing the week. Even if he does, he'll be banged up, and AB is not going to be part of really the offense at all. But long-term for Mike Evans, I think it's a little bit of a downslope. So this Fulgham pickup was massive to keep Pain Train as a contender. For Professor S, actually had great management this game, just really bad luck. So Garoppolo got hurt, got him 0 points at quarterback. Probably would have gotten the win if he had a serviceable quarterback. Kyron really got hurt, only getting him 7.2 points. So Very, very bad luck to have both those injuries, but I mean, you're going to get Deshaun Watson back, so you're fine at quarterback. It was just bad luck to get the loss this week. There's just really good management because the whole team is just the whole team's well managed. The Geo pickup was fantastic. Corey Davis start was fantastic to get you 30 points. Noah Fant, a fantastic option as a backup tight end. Even a plug-in flex was pretty smart. J.K. Dobbins now showing. Actually, I probably would have went Dobbins because he's on my team too. J.K. Dobbins, a fantastic pickup. Could, especially with Ingram missing another week, could be another serviceable guy or a guy you trade to a team who really needs a running back. Again, there's a really deep team that could afford to do that. Then the Gibson pick was fantastic. The Carson injury, but he'll be good when he comes back. Even Kelly to give you depth. Mixon and Godwin injured. This team's just so deep. I'm still surprised the team's not making a move to a stud, but just continually doing the right thing. So yeah, you lost this week, but at 6-2, you're a clinch for the playoffs. I'm positive you'll make the playoffs. I think you'll be a front runner in the playoffs, but I think you'll be in a lot better position if you make a move for a stud and give some of that depth up to many of the teams that we talked about that really need it. So the last matchup we'll talk about is TBD versus the Prophet. TBD gets the loss, 5-3. Prophet gets the must win to go to 4-4. So absolutely huge win for the Prophet. Let's talk about them first. The RB2 situation is still we're going to be talking about. Devin Singletary is not startable. We saw Zach Moss get in the end zone twice. Zach Moss is now the best running back to play in Buffalo. Not a great option there. Fortunately for you, you got a big week out of Mahomes that helped carry you a little bit. Amari also looking rough, by the way, with DiNucci. So hopefully for you, Dalton comes back. He's not back this week. Hopefully next week. Good start with Jared Cook. Without Michael Thomas is a very good option. Ayuk, great start. No Debo. And now with Kittle hurt, Ayuk is now on the up. I still cannot believe you didn't trade Rodgers still. Get 30 points for a team. Should have been on another team that who needs a quarterback. You should have traded him at this point, but still no. We'll see what happens with Fuller. Does he get traded or not? But yeah, it was a must-win to go to 4-4. The team could certainly make a push for the playoffs. It's such a clear you need to fill in that RB2 slot, and such a clear you have a dominant, probably the third best fantasy quarterback. Shocked you're not going there. Let's see who's calling me really quickly. Hello? No, sorry, wrong number. You had the wrong number, so let's keep going. This is professionalism if you've ever seen it. TBD with the loss to go to 1-1 to go. Wow, we're really struggling after that phone call. It threw me off. To go to 5-3. What happened here? Gio got dropped. Did I see that right? I looked on transactions this time, really briefly, just to see if there was any ridiculous stuff, mainly for the trade. But I'm like, and I saw Gio got dropped. Gio was a top 10 running back this week. We knew Mixon was out again. Gio should still be rostered even if Mixon's in as one of the better handcuffs in the NFL. Somehow Gio got dropped by this team. So I have to say this loss is deserved. TBD, titties up, titties down. Just absolutely, it's hard saying that with a straight face, but that drop was so bad that I could say titties up, titties down with a straight face. Especially with a team that needs RB help. DeAndre Swift is not the guy yet in Detroit. I think we've been talking lately about how he's emerged to have a good role and potentially be startable, but he's not the guy, and he's not enough to make you feel like, oh, I could drop Giovanni Bernard now. Melvin Gordon isn't even the guy in Denver right now. So when you look at your bench at running back, all you really see is Eckler, but he's hurt. We don't even know what his role is going to be like when he comes back. I'm just very surprised that Gio drop. It was a clear start. He was probably going to be my favorite option coming into this week with the way Josh Jacobs is playing, although Josh Jacobs, fortunately, good rushing day. Didn't do too much outside of getting an absurd amount of carries, but very good sign they gave him 31. But man, that is concerning. So for TBD, I would say yes, prime for a playoff spot, but let's get this management right. You've done well early this season. That Gio drop, I need an explanation. I can't sleep tonight. I didn't sleep last night. I already said I can't sleep tonight. It's noon. So let's see how this goes. Good luck to everyone. Make trades, please. I'd love to talk about some trades. If you're curious about my league, by the way, this week, my team got most points. Great, but I have Kittle, and he got hurt. So now if you're keeping track, Kittle, Aaron Jones, Michael Thomas, Joe Mixon, and someone else. 5 guys who would be drafted first 2 rounds on my team that are hurt. I know no one cares about my team, but just want to say I made another trade since. So it's an example of reacting and making moves. We'll see what happens. But you got to make moves. I don't know what else to say. Good luck to everyone. Bye.